For months, all we heard were these whispers. The great AI race had stalled out. Progress was slowing down.
Well, that whole narrative just got spectacularly humiliated. We're talking about an AI that scores 100% on the hardest high school math competition. An AI that can diagnose a complex computer motherboard just from a single photo.
That changes everything. Welcome to the deep dive.
Today, we're unpacking the sources covering OpenAI's GPT-5.2 release.
And our mission here is to get past the hype and really understand why this update isn't just another incremental step. It feels like proof that the capability curve is actually accelerating again.
Yeah, we've got detailed benchmarks, and we're comparing it against the other titans, right? Gemini 3.0 Pro, Claude 4.5 Opus. We're going to look at three critical leaps: pure reasoning, visual mastery, and maybe most importantly, production-level reliability.
Okay, let's unpack this. Specifically for you, the listener, who needs to separate what's real from what's just marketing noise in this space. So this narrative of the AI wall, the idea was that just throwing more data at these models had hit a point of diminishing returns.
Right. But these sources, they show that premise was just wrong. We're not just seeing acceleration in size, but in, the actual depth of intelligence.
And what's so fascinating is where that intelligence is showing up.
Let's start with the AIME 2025 math competition. This isn't just rote calculation. This is for high schoolers solving really complex multi-step problems. It takes creativity.
Right. And we saw Gemini Pro hit 95%. Claude is at 92.8. I mean, very impressive scores.
Absolutely. But 5.2 hit a flawless 100% perfect performance.
Perfect. Not a single mistake. Not one logical error.
And getting perfection at that level?
Yeah.
That's a huge cognitive milestone. It tells you the model has crossed some kind of threshold. It's not just pattern matching formulas anymore. It's showing real, logical, creative problem solving.
That's the qualitative jump, right? It goes from being an incredibly powerful calculator to something that can, for lack of a better word, reason.
Exactly. And if AIME is the big quantitative leap, then we have to talk about ARC-AGI-2. That's kind of the gold standard for testing generalization.
The one that's designed to resist memorization. It forces the model to learn abstract patterns from just a few examples.
And the previous model, 5.1, it scored 17%.
Which was, not bad at the time.
Not bad, but the new 5.2 hit 52.9%.
Wow. That is a more than a 3x improvement.
A 3.1x improvement on the test that people point to as the truest measure of artificial general intelligence. Think about how fast that happened in a single release cycle.
And at the same time that capability was soaring, the cost to get that intelligence just collapsed. A year ago, a similar performance level would have cost something like $4,500.
Good task. And now, GPT 5.2 gets you that for about $11.
$11. That's a 390x improvement in efficiency in 1 year.
It's like buying a high-end service, and then a year later the price drops from $5,000 to $10.
Yeah.
That's democratization at light speed.
So how does that perfect AIME score really define intelligence then?
It proves creative problem solving, not just formula application. That intellectual leap is absolutely critical, but the most economically significant upgrade might be its ability to see, to really handle multimodality.
Yeah, if you're an analyst or a consultant, you need to pay close attention here. We saw chart reasoning pulling insights from complex graphs and figures jump from 80% to 88% accuracy.
That's a huge time saver. It dramatically cuts down the cost of data extraction.
And then there's ScreenSpot Pro,
which tests how the model understands a user interface from just a screenshot. And it went from 64% accuracy to 86%.
And that jumped from 64 to 86. That crosses a really important threshold. It means the AI can now reliably navigate complex software for you.
Right. Filling out enterprise forms, scheduling tasks, automating workflows that were just impossible before.
The demonstration with the computer motherboard photo really highlights this.
It really does. The old model, 5.1, it could barely identify maybe 4 components. But the new 5.2, it identified dozens. RAM slots, the CPU socket, even tiny microcapacitors, all with precise bounding boxes.
That kind of precision moves AI straight from the lab into industrial use. Think quality control in manufacturing or automated tech support.
But seeing is one thing. Remembering what you saw is another. That brings us to the context window.
The big memory upgrade. And for a long time, the context window arms race was all about size, not reliability.
Exactly. It's easy to say you can handle 256,000 tokens. The hard part is actually recalling the specific details buried in all that text.
They test this with the needle in a haystack test.
Yeah, MRCRV2. They hide 4 distinct vital facts inside a massive document and then ask the AI to find them.
And 5.1 was only at 42% accuracy, basically unusable for anything mission critical. You just couldn't trust it.
And 5.2, it reached 98% accuracy on the same test.
98%.
Just let that sink in for a second.
Whoa. I mean, imagine scaling that reliability to 1 billion queries across entire legal archives or years of company meeting transcripts.
And trusting the analysis. That 90% leap is the guarantee that enterprises have been waiting for.
Okay, wait, but 98% is amazing. But if you're feeding it sensitive legal contracts, doesn't that last 2% still represent a huge risk? Doesn't it still need an expensive human audit?
That's a great point. But we call it reliable because the last version was a coin toss. 42%, you had to check everything.
So the human effort shifts.
Dramatically. You go from checking every single output to just spot checking the model's work.
Right.
And that's a whole economic difference right there.
So is the huge context window finally reliable for these big tasks?
Yes. 90% accuracy makes massive documents trustworthy for deep enterprise analysis. And that really is the defining shift, according to the review. It's reliability. We are moving from impressive tech demo to production-ready enterprise tool.
And the clearest proof of that is the drop in the hallucination rate.
It's down to 6.2%. Now, that's not zero. Mistakes still happen.
But let's put it in context. Early models were 30, 40, 50% inaccurate. GPT-4 was in the 10 to 15% range.
Right. So dropping to 6%, that changes the workflow. It shifts from a human always reviews the output to a human spot checks the output, and that accelerates everything.
And we can see that reliability playing out in these really high-stakes professional tasks. Take something like workforce planning.
Yeah, that's a huge task.
Yeah.
You have to synthesize tons of data headcount forecasts, budget impacts, attrition rates, and then present it all clearly.
Manually, that can take a specialized HR pro days of work. It's tedious, it's prone to errors.
And GPT-5.2 produced a fully formatted, presentation-ready Excel file. All the calculations were correct, clear visual hierarchy, the whole thing.
And that's not easy. I mean, I still wrestle with prompt drift myself, just trying to get perfect formatting sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. It's a constant struggle. But this it worked. And it turned days of work into about 14 minutes of processing.
And what about the highest stakes tasks, like cap table management? That's tracking equity, calculating liquidation preferences.
The cap table is everything for a startup. A single mistake in who gets paid what when the company sells. That can cost millions of dollars. The previous model, 5.1, it just failed. The calculations were all wrong.
And 5.2.
Delivered every calculation correctly,
Yeah.
accurately. And that's the difference between a toy and a trustworthy financial tool that can handle real-world risk.
This reliability also unlocked complex automation, which they tested with the TAU2 benchmark.
Right, the tool in action use benchmark. It tests long chains of actions where the AI has to use multiple tools in sequence to solve a big problem.
And the example they used was a complex customer support issue, a flight problem with missed connections, lost bags, medical needs.
A nightmare scenario. And to solve it, the AI needs to make 7 to 10 sequential tool calls. It has to check booking systems, logistics, databases.
And 5.1 had a 47% success rate on that.
Basically a coin toss.
50-50, whereas 5.2 achieved 98.7% success.
Just think about that jump. From a coin toss to near perfection. In a single update. It means call centers can now automate a dramatically higher volume of their most complex support tickets.
So what real-world task was most impacted by this reliability jump?
Complex, multi-step workflows like full customer flight rebooking can now be automated successfully.
Okay, so we've established this enormous new capability, but let's talk strategy. And the price tag. GPT 5.2 is not cheap.
No. It's 40% more for both input and output tokens compared to 5.1.
So the question is, why pay 40% more?
Because you're getting a 2 to 3 times increase in actual capability. We saw that 3.1x jump on ARC-HEI, the 2.1x on tool use. That's an undeniably positive ROI, but only if you use it for the right tasks.
And that's the key takeaway for you, the listener. It's a strategic choice now.
Right. You route your simple basic tasks to the cheaper 5.1 model. Save that money. But you reserve 5.2 for the complex, high-value work, the long document analysis, the visual diagnostics, the multi-step automations.
You pay for performance only where performance really matters.
Exactly. And let's place this in the competitive landscape. There's now a clear reasoning gap. GPT-5.2 is in the lead on hard logic, that perfect AIME score, dominating complex coding on SWEbench Pro.
And where competitors like Gemini maybe had an edge in multimodality, 5.2 has pretty much neutralized that advantage. It can read technical diagrams and user interfaces with startling accuracy now.
So 5.2 is clearly the superior worker. It's the best engineer, the best analyst, the best mathematician in the room.
But there's one area where it still seems to lag a little bit, and that's just the conversational feel.
The vibes test, yeah. Claude 4.5 Opus still holds the lead on the ELO leaderboard for human preference.
Why is that?
Claude often just feels more human. It's more concise. It excels at generating responses with a really strong, predictable persona. So if you need a creative writing partner or just a smoother collaborator, Claude might still be the winner there.
So Claude is optimizing for conversational elegance, while 5.2 is just optimizing for raw task execution.
Exactly. And that focus on perfect quality has a trade-off. The review noted that the workforce planning task, while the output was superior, took over 14 minutes.
Compared to 4 or 5 for 5.1.
Right. But that extra time is spent making sure the entire multi-step process is flawless. It's a strategic decision. It sacrifices a little speed to guarantee zero errors in a final executive-level document.
So when should I not use this new flagship model?
Use 5.1 for basic tasks to avoid the 40% higher price point.
Let's try to summarize the big idea here for you. GPT 5.2 isn't just an incremental update. It feels more like a statement that the exponential curve of capability is, in fact, accelerating again.
It crossed that vital threshold from a research curiosity to a production-ready tool. It can reliably complete these complex, long-chain workflows, and it's solving benchmarks that were considered impossible just a year ago, like 100% on AIME.
Which means the competitive advantage has officially shifted. It's not just about who has the best raw tool anymore.
It's about how you use it. The winners will be the ones who design the most effective ways to integrate these tools into their core business.
So the development wall narrative is gone. It's been replaced by a fierce new race for production dominance.
And if history is any guide, even this incredible leap is probably not as remarkable as whatever comes next.
So what did this all mean? The current battle seems to be over who has the best worker, the precise task-focused GPT 5.2 versus the best conversationalist, which is the smooth, human-preferred Claude. And for you, the question really is, which one are you trying to hire?
Thank you for providing the sources for this deep dive. Keep learning and keep applying this knowledge.